Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yes, we will begin then. See, last class I was discussing about the formal charges. If you remember, yesterday's topic was this regarding the formal charge, and I told you that it's an imaginary charge and it has been assigned to the atom to draw the Lewis structure. Okay, this formal charge, if you could remember, I told you it's an imaginary charge which has been assigned to an atom to just to draw the Lewis structure. Because in the example, I've taken the example also, if you could recall, ozone molecule I took as the example. Okay, and in that, when we write the Lewis structure for this ozone molecule, which comes out like this, because there are three oxygen atom, I can put this three oxygen atom like this and calculate the total number of electrons, then valence electron, then you calculate how many shared electrons are there and unshared. When you do all that, you would end up getting this as the final structure. Okay, you will get there are 6 electrons which are being shared. Okay, so 3 bonds will be formed, and then remaining you can distribute depending on the number of electrons which are required to complete their octet. Okay, so here 4 is already there for this first oxygen. Okay, if I write this as first one, this middle one as second, and this one as third, so you will see that this will require 1, 2, and then 3, 4 electrons, okay, to complete the octet. Whereas the second oxygen requires 2 electrons, and then the last one, that is the third oxygen, requires altogether 6 electrons to complete their octet. Okay, because 2 are already there, so 6 more is required. So this is how the oxygen atom was. But when you calculate their actual valence electron, okay, I took this as the example, ozone example. Yesterday also we have calculated. Okay, so here first oxygen, second oxygen, and third oxygen. Now we will see what are the number of electrons they are having here altogether. Okay, comparing with their valence electron and after they have finished sharing. So here if you count for the first one, which I have labeled as first one, no? So in this first case, first oxygen case, see 1, 2, this is 1, here 2, and then third is here, fourth one is here, fifth one and sixth one are used in the bonding. Okay, these two are fifth and sixth one, you can see. Okay, so here 6 electrons are there, and so many electrons are actually present in the outermost valence shell of the oxygen atom. So this is correct. This particular oxygen, first oxygen, is correct according to the number of valence electron. Now come to the second oxygen. If you talk about the second oxygen, they should have 6 electrons in their valence shell, and that itself they can use for bonding purpose. Okay, so here if I have to talk about this particular oxygen, so you see here 1, I will number here 1 here, 2 here, because they have involved these 2 electrons for bonding purpose. So 1, 2 is here, then 3 and then fourth one are as lone pair of electron, and fifth one on this side, okay, which is involved in sharing between the second and the third oxygen. Okay, so here fifth one is here. But how many electrons they have in their valence shell? Supposed to be having 6. But here, after writing the Lewis structure, we can see only 5 electrons are there. So here it is less. Okay, so here it is less. For the second oxygen, it is less. One, how many are less? One electron is less, because we were expecting 6, but when we calculated, we got it is only 5. So 1 less electron we are able to see here. Now come to the third oxygen. On the third oxygen, if you count 1 electron which is involved in the bonding, it is their share only which they have involved in bonding. So 1 is here, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. If you see here, the number of electrons they have compared to their valence shell is extra. Okay, they have in their valence shell 6 electron, but in this third oxygen we can see there is 1 more electron. So more means the extra electron is only 1. Okay, so when this question was asked to the Lewis, so what he tried doing is, like, to explain this structure, what he did is he took this oxygen atom and then he calculated the formal charge. That's what I said, he calculated the formal charge. So I'm writing this oxygen atom again. So these you write as it is. On this oxygen there is no problem. The oxygen which is having less electron, he denoted them with a plus sign, and the oxygen which was having more number of electron, because this oxygen was found to have 7 electrons in them, so he denoted with a minus sign. Okay, how many number of electrons are less, so many plus charge you put, and how many electrons are less, so many minus charge you can put. Okay, this itself was called as formal charge. Okay, a temporary charge you are giving them so that they will be able to follow that octet structure, and plus their valence electrons also will be correct. Okay, because they can't have the less number of electron or more number of electron compared to their valence electron. So he had to give something, no, to explain that these electrons have been shifted, so they are carrying one extra electron, and this oxygen has lost the electron, so they are carrying a positive charge. Okay, and we can even calculate this using the formula, and that formula for formal charge is F is equal to V minus L minus half into S. Okay, where I told you V stands for valence electron, where V stands for total number of valence electron. Okay, so I'll just write valence electron. L stands for number of non-bonding electron. Okay, so L is for non-bonding electrons, and then S stands for shared electrons. Okay, that is bonded electrons. So bonded electrons. So this was a formula. Using this formula, you can calculate this charges. Okay. Now I will take another example. This was the example which we took yesterday. Okay. So I'm going to take second example, that is of carbon monoxide. Okay. We have already done the structure. If you can go back and check your book, you can check out the structure of carbon monoxide. You will see that there is a triple bond. Okay, there is a triple bond, and then you will find 2 electrons on the carbon and 2 electrons on the oxygen. This is how the structure was. Correct, no? Now you can tell me actually what will be the charge they will carry. Now, carbon, how many valence electrons they are having? How many valence electrons a carbon has? Carbon has 4 electrons in their valence shell, and oxygen has 6 electrons in their valence shell. So count whether this carbon is having 4 electrons only. Count here how many are there. See, I will take another ink. So see here, 3 electrons are there which they have given for sharing. So 1, 2, and then 3 here, and then 4, and then 5. See how many electrons they are having. 1 electron is extra here. And then come to this oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. They were supposed to have 6. So these oxygen is having only 5 electrons. Okay, see here, I'll number here. 1, and then 2, and then 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so what will happen to the charge now? What do you think the charge they should be carrying now? Carbon should carry what type of charge then? Because according to the number of valence electron, it is not getting tallied. Okay, so what we should do here? How we will assign the formal charge for them? Yes, so carbon should carry -1 charge, correct, good, and then very good. Carbon should carry -1 charge, and then oxygen should carry a +1 charge. Agree, no? So here what we do is we can write it in this way. So I'll write this structure as it is. Because we can see 1 electron extra, so you can put -1 charge on the carbon and +1 charge on the oxygen. If you want, we can calculate this using this formula is there, no? To calculate the formal charge. So I will substitute in this and calculate and show you, okay, how it exactly it is. So we will calculate the formal charge for carbon first. Okay, for carbon I am calculating. So I will directly substitute. Formal charge for carbon, valence electron is 4. So 4 minus lone pair of electrons you can count. Okay, 2 are there, no? Here. These are the lone electrons. Okay, non-bonding electrons. So lone pair of electron is 2, and then minus half into shared electrons. How many are there? Total electrons. Okay, so that is 6. So here I can put 6. So it will be 2, 3 is a, so minus 2 minus 3 will be -5, correct, no? -5 and then +4. So that is going to be +1, okay? Sorry, -1. -5 +4, no? -1. Okay, it's -1 for carbon. And then come to the oxygen. Formal charge for oxygen formal charge for oxygen. Valence electrons for the oxygen is 6. Okay, so 6 minus lone pair of electrons you can see here. Okay, structure I have written already. So lone pair of electron we can see it is 2 minus bond pair of electrons are 6 only. Okay, so it is half into 6. Again 2 3s are, so minus 2 minus 3 is minus 5 plus 6 will be plus 1. Okay, that itself you can assign. At the end you can assign and then show here. Okay, I drew the structure initially, but then when the structure is given to you, you see the structure, calculate the formal charge, and then you assign the formal charge to the compound. So if you want, you can write down this. First you write this carbon monoxide structure, then do the calculation, and at the end below that you write this structure. Okay, so I'll number this first. You write this one first, then you do the calculation for formal charge, then third you write the assigned formal charge on the molecule. Okay, now is it visible to everyone? At least now if you are able to see the screen. If you want, I will explain once again. Just let me know whether everything is visible to you, the structure of carbon monoxide, then the formal charge calculation, and then the assigned formal charge. Okay, quickly I will revise once again. See, carbon monoxide structure you are already having with you. Okay, here carbon monoxide structure, you can write that using the Lewis concept. Lewis representation you can use to write this particular structure. Once the structure has been assigned, okay, then we are supposed to assign the formal charges for it. So here, how to calculate the formal charge? I told you this is the formula: valence electron minus the lone pair of electron minus half into shared electron, that is bonded electrons. So here we are calculating separately the formal charge for oxygen and the formal charge for the carbon. Okay, oxygen and carbon we are going to calculate in carbon monoxide. So first for the carbon I will tell you. See, formal charge for the carbon, valence electron, the number of electrons which are present in the valence shell of the carbon is 4. So it will be 4. Okay. So here you can see 4 minus, then it is the non-bonding electron. So non-bonding electron which is present on the carbon is 2. So I have written here minus 2 minus half of the bonded electrons. So here half into bonded electrons, we can see here total number of bonded electrons are 6. So half into 6. So this you can cancel here. So you would get minus 2 and then minus 3. That is minus 5 plus 4 will give you minus 1. So minus 1 is the charge. Okay. So below that you can write the structure of carbon monoxide and assign minus 1 as the charge on the carbon. Okay. So these two lone pair of electrons are still present on them. And then formal charge for the oxygen. Again use the same formula. Valence electron is 6. So 6 minus non-bonded electrons are 2. So minus 2 I have written, and then minus half into shared pair of electron. That is again 6. Okay. So you calculate this, you will get plus 1. Then assign plus 1 charge. Okay. So this I told you it's an outdated concept, because to explain his structure he bought this concept formal charge. So it was just there for a temporary period of time. Then it was removed when the coordinate bond came into picture. Okay, there is one more bond called as coordinate bond. So instead of assigning this formal charge, nowadays what they do is they assign the coordinate bond. Okay, they don't assign these charges. So that you are going to study in the second year. So I will not go for that coordinate bond concept, but you can just keep in mind when the coordinate bond came into picture, this particular formal charge concept was being removed. Yes, anything you want to ask or you have any doubt, let me know. Yes, students, did you all finish writing? Shall I proceed now? Okay. Yes, now the next thing what we have is limitation. You can give the next heading, that is limitation of octet rule. Okay, the next thing is limitation of octet rule. So let me take the first limitation. Okay, the first one is about the incomplete octet of the central atom. Okay, so your incomplete octet of the central atom. So I'll give you example, you will be able to understand what are the incomplete octet of the central atom. First, you remember what does the octet rule says. According to Lewis, he said any atom in their outermost shell, they should get 8 electrons. Okay, so if they want to bind with any other atom, then they will try to somehow lose the electron, gain the electron, or share the electron and try to complete that octet structure. Okay, so that is what according to his theory is, when the atom wants to bind with another atom, they should somehow complete this octet structure. So that is what is octet rule about. So here we will check out whether all the atoms agrees with this, whether it is a universal law or not. Okay, according to this rule, whether this rule is applicable for all the atoms. So now here, when few molecules were checked out, like for example here, now if I take lithium chloride, LiCl, okay, lithium chloride structure will be like this, and then beryllium hydride, because you know lithium outermost electron is only one, so the number of bond which they can form is also only one possible. Beryllium, you know that the number of electrons which are present in their outermost shell is 2. So when they combine with hydrogen, beryllium hydride, if they have to form, you will see something like this structure. Okay, BeH2, because they have 2 valence electrons. So if they have 2 electrons, then they can bind with 2 atoms, no? This one, and then here I've taken one more example, that is boron chloride. Okay, boron has 3 electrons in their outermost shell. All this you keep in your mind. Okay, if you want, I will write down here. Lithium 1s2 and then 2s1. Only outermost shell goes for bonding purpose. Only the outermost electrons will be involved in the bonding. So only one electron is present. That means they can give only this one electron to bind with the chlorine atom. Okay. So total how many number of electrons this lithium is able to complete now? You can answer actually. You will be able to see this bond. No? You can see the bond. How many electrons maximum they are getting for this lithium atom? What is the maximum number of electrons they are able to get? Is it 8? Yeah, very good. Correct, no? The number of electrons which they are able to get maximum is only 2 because lithium is giving 1 here and this chlorine is giving 1. So that means the number of electrons which they are able to form is only 2. What about this beryllium? 1 and then 2 here. Okay, the number of bonds itself is the number of electrons that they are having. So here, see the number of bond in that into 2 you do because one bond will have 2 electrons. Yes, so 1, 2 here, 3 and then 4. Okay, so 4 it is. So I can write down here 4. And then boron you see 3 bonds they are making. So 3 bond means each bond will have 2 electron. Okay, so that means it will be 6 in this case. So all this will come under the incomplete octet of the central atom. Central atoms are there, but then according to the Lewis structure, they are not having 8 number of electron. Still they are able to form the bond. So that means this octet rule cannot be applied for all the atoms. Okay, so here these are the limitation. Okay, incomplete octet of the central atom. So I gave you the example over here. You can write down the statement. I will write the statement below this. Okay. So give the heading limitation of octet rule. In that first one, incomplete octet of the central atom. Yes, statement I have given below this, incomplete octet of the central atom. In some of the compounds, the number of electrons surrounding the central atom is less than 8. Example is lithium chloride. This first second period I can say. Okay, second period elements are there, no? Second period elements you can take. So you will find these elements, they are not able to complete their octet. Few of them. Okay, now next case is expanded octet. Incomplete octet you have seen where they are having the electrons which are less than the octet structure. Okay, expanded means when you are expecting 8 number of electrons, these atoms were found to have more than 8 number of electron. Expanded is a name given to them because they were found to have more than 8 number of electrons in their outermost shell when they are binding. Okay, so that is the reason why the name came as expanded octet. For example, if I have to take here, see for example, P F5 and then SF6. So how many electrons are there in this, you think? PF5. If I have to explain about PF5, PF5 means how many electrons you think this P is having with the fluorine atom? Total number of electrons I'm asking. P is linked with 5 fluorine atom. So if they are linked with 5 fluorine atom, how many number of electrons will be involved? Yes, good. 10, no? Because one bond will have 2 electrons. So here if I'm telling you phosphorus is a central atom, this phosphorus is linked with the 5 fluorine atom. If I have to draw and show you, it would be like this. Okay. So I can draw the structure. So you have 5 fluorine atom and each atom will be linked with one single bond. So total number of electrons which will be there over here with the phosphorus atom, okay, that will be 10. So here it is more than 8 electrons, and sulfur, you see, sulfur is linking with the phosphorus atom, 6 fluorine atom, okay. Sulfur is linked with the 6 fluorine atom. That means the number of bond which the sulfur is forming is 6, and 6 bond means the number of electrons over here will be 12. Okay, so here the number of electrons in the outermost shell of the sulfur is found to be 12, which is more than the octet structure. Okay, so these will be the example for expanded octet. So you can write down in some compounds, the number of, in some compounds, the number of electrons surrounding the number of electrons surrounding the central atom is more than 8. Surrounding the central atom is more than 8. So you can remember 1 or 2 example, that is enough. Okay. So first one I told you about incomplete octet, where we saw lithium chloride, beryllium hydride and boron chloride. These were having less than 8 electron. And then expanded octet, if you can go for phosphorus and sulfur, when they link, you will find that the number of electrons they are having is more than 8. Then there are a few more examples which are having odd number of electrons. Okay, they are having odd number of electrons. So here this is the example of odd number of electron, that is nitric oxide. Okay, nitric oxide structure is this way. So I will assign the number of electrons here. 8 for oxygen, it is correct. Okay, 4 here this side and then 4 more electrons on the other side. But for nitrogen, it is found that they are having only 3 electrons. Okay, odd number of electron. And this, if you are going to calculate with that Lewis representation, what we did, no, we will not be able to write the structure for this particular molecule. That is for nitric oxide, you will not be able to write the Lewis structure, like the shared number of electrons, the unshared electrons, you won't be able to distribute them correctly. Okay, so what we do is just a trial and error method. By seeing the number of electron, we just write this particular structure. So these were having a odd number of electrons. So this explanation also he was not able to give why that particular molecule is containing odd number of electrons. So some of the molecules are of this kind also. So there is no explanation. But further we will be having a different theory which will come up. But then according to the Lewis, we don't have a correct explanation for this. Okay. So these are having odd number of electrons. So when any molecule has odd number of electrons, you can't distribute them according to the Lewis structure. So you can write down the explanation for odd number of electron. In some molecules with odd number of electrons, the octet rule is not satisfied for all the atoms. That you can understand by seeing the number of valence electron. Nitrogen was supposed to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell, but then when we just write this particular structure, we are able to see that there is only 7 electrons. They don't have 8 electrons. And even with the Lewis representation, you can't draw this particular structure. So that is about odd number of electrons. Now, one more thing I want to ask you students, this octet theory is there, no? He compared with which type of elements? He came up this with this octet theory by comparing with which elements? This I told you in the beginning when I started with chemical bonding. I told you he compared this with some elements. Which were those elements which he compared with? Could you tell me? Yes, I want everyone to reply. Good, correct. That's the correct answer. Yes, others also reply. My question is this Lewis structure, when he deduced the octet rule, he compared this with some elements. Okay. So my question is, which are those elements? Yes, correct. He compared this with the noble gases. Why did he compare with the noble gas? Noble gases, no? Yes, few answers I've got. Yeah, correct. That's a noble gas, okay? Because noble gas were found to be stable. They were not reacting. And when he checked their configuration, he found that there are 8 electrons in their outermost shell. Okay. So that was the reason he started comparing other elements. See, other elements, if they want to form a bond, they will either lose their electron, they will gain the electron, or they will share the electron so that they can attain that noble gas configuration. Okay. So, but what has been found is, now the thing is, he said that noble gases are the heroes. Okay. They are stable, they are inert, they won't react. But then what has been found later is even the noble gases are reacting. So that noble gases also will not have the octet structure. So that also will come under the limitation. Okay. So our theory was totally based on the noble gas, which were stable. They were having 8 electrons in their outermost shell. They were chemically inert. They won't react. So that was the reason he came up with this theory. Okay. That other elements, if they want to react, they will try to attain this noble gas configuration. Okay. But then this further, when they found that noble gases exist, and then when they made them to react, they found that even they react at a certain temperature. Conditions apply. Okay, for them to react, it won't be a normal temperature. You need to apply extreme conditions for them to react. Okay, but then they were found to react also, and they were forming many compounds. Like xenon is found to react. Xenon is found to react with fluorine to giving xenon difluoride. Krypton also reacts with fluorine, giving you krypton difluoride, and even they form this compounds with oxygen and fluorine together. Okay, like that, many compounds you will be able to see. So this will come under the drawback part. Okay, we thought that noble gases are inert and they won't react, but then in future they were found that noble gases are also not inert and they were also found to react. Okay, and one more drawback of this theory is that he did not tell us what will be the shape of the particular molecule. He just told us, okay, you distribute the number of electron, see that there are 8 electrons in their outermost shell, but then we don't know whether that particular Lewis structure is stable or not, and we are not even able to get the shape of any of the molecules. Okay, so these are the drawbacks. So your fourth one I will write and give you. Okay, fourth one, I told you that noble gases are found to be inert, but then they were also combining with oxygen and fluorine to form large number of compounds. So that means even they will not have 8 electrons in their outermost shell when they are going to combine. They will have to use that up. So at extreme condition, even they can react. And then the fifth one is about that the shape and the relative stability of the molecules are not being explained. Okay, so I will write down here. You can copy it down. Octet rule is based on the chemical inertness, of noble gases but however some noble gases also combine with the oxygen and fluorine to form number of compounds. Okay, number of compounds you can list. After that you can list this to form number of compounds. Side heading is not there. Okay, for this you can directly write the fourth drawback. Here, because we can tell they have expanded octet odd number of electron, you can just, if you want, you can write that noble gases also forms large number of compound. Okay, fourth one, if you want, you can write noble gases also form large number of compounds. And then you can explain octet rule is based on chemical inertness of noble gases. However, some noble gases also combine with oxygen fluorine to form large number of compounds like XCF2, KRF2, etc. And the last one is, this theory does not explain the shape and the relative stability of the molecule. This theory does not account for the shape and relative stability.